In the days of myth and legend, the beautiful Calypso, daughter of Atlas, ruled the wine dark seas, and all sailors everywhere both loved and feared her. But because she too had mortal blood, Calypso fell in love with a young sailor named Davy Jones. And she rewarded that love by giving Davy Jones the sacred task of collecting all the poor souls who died at sea and ferrying them to the worlds beyond. Now, because of that love, Davy Jones agreed to set foot on dry land once every 10 years. And if his love was true to him, his task would be complete, and a new captain of the Dutchman would be found. But whenever Davy Jones came ashore, Calypso was nowhere to be found, for the seas are fickle and unpredictable, as was the powerful goddess who ruled that domain. So, when the men of the sea, the pirate brethren, convened a great conclave, Davy Jones plotted with them to tear the rule of the seas away from Calypso. With his help, the brethren tricked the goddess and imprisoned her in the body of a mortal woman. Soon Davy Jones' grief and guilt at what he had done became so great, he ripped his own heart, a heart that had betrayed him, right out of his chest and locked it away. He then returned to the seven seas, only now sailors everywhere would fear him to the death. For Davy Jones had turned fierce and cruel, with an insatiable taste for all things brutal. But then, an ambitious mortal, who himself wished to rule the seas, came into possession of the hidden beating heart of Davy Jones. And this mortal knew he could use that heart to make Davy Jones do his bidding. Soon, an ancient and horrible creature of the darkest deep, known as the Kraken, appeared upon the seas. And this terrible beast brought the master of the Flying Dutchman ever more souls onto his cursed ship. Dead sailors, forever impressed into servitude. Now those pirate lords grew ever more fearful. But when they convened again, they only argued and fought among themselves, so afraid were they of Calypso's anger at their treachery. But one of the brethren did not wait for agreement. Tricked by the goddess herself, he took all the tokens of their betrayal, the powerful items that had imprisoned Calypso, and then he undid the spell that bound her to mortal flesh. Now, the goddess was freed, and her wrath indeed became horrible to behold and even worse to experience. The enraged goddess Calypso gathered the waters of the ocean around herself in a giant whirlpool, a massive maelstrom, and a battle raged at the center of it. And it was in that very battle that Davy Jones' heart was pierced and he died, finally free for all eternity. With his death, Davy Jones was welcomed back into the dark embrace of the seas, for Calypso, in her own way, still loved him. And his ship, the Flying Dutchman, received a new captain, and all was as it was meant to be.